We just got a minute.
Call the meeting to order, please. I want to welcome everybody to this BCC public hearing concerning the Walton Dunes Regional Beach Access. So everybody will know what the format will be for today. This is a 2-hour public hearing. We still have another regular board meeting at 4, so we'll have to finish up prior to that. The staff will lead off with Mr. Kellenberger to talk about what he's presented to us. The board will make a discussion, or will discuss this. I will ask for a motion in a second at the conclusion of that, and then we will open it up to public comment. I hope everybody signed in with the sheet over here and make it a little bit easier for me to go through that list if you wish to speak. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. I understand there's a couple here that have sticks that they want to put something up on the monitors. We'll make sure they get to Lewis over here. You'll have to make that part of your 3 minutes, be inclusive of that 3 minutes. We will knock off all public comments at 3:45 at the latest, so we can finish up the motion in the second, if there is one, before we adjourn and go into our regular board meeting. So with that said, Mr. Kellenberger, you got the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, appreciate it. Brian Kellenberger, Director of Beach Operations, here to present the Walton Dunes Public Beach Access Project. This land was conveyed to Walton County in 2013 by a patent deed from the Bureau of Land Management. Previous to that, we leased it for about 13 years, and we received it along with 3 other properties, which now are Inlet Beach, Regional Beach Access, Fort Smith, Regional Beach Access, and public access we have at 1 Secret. In your package you'll find the first couple of pages are some proximity map, vicinity map, a aerial view of it, and then a few pictures looking down beachfront trail from each way. So we've talked about this project since before I got here. For the first time was in 2011 as far as developing the piece of land. And there's been many subsequent discussions and presentations and decisions to not move forward. So this project has 3 main components. It has a parking component, it has a turnaround component, and then a restroom component. And so in this package we have 4 different options, and the options show a mix of those different components. And so I'd like to start with the components. The parking, one of the main components. If you look at option 1, that one has 39 parkings, and its basic format is parking on both sides of the road in a head-in fashion. That would require backing out into the road to go back the other way, or to continue on down the path if you're going that way. It also has a small auxiliary parking that is where we place the handicap parking and some golf cart parking, and that's that small area just to the south of the road and to the east of the restroom building. So that's what we call a maximum parking plan. Option 2 has head-in parking once again, but only on the south side of the road. It's 19 spaces, 17 regular, 2 handicap. Has the same auxiliary parking feature of handicap and golf cart parking, 6 spaces of golf cart. Certainly provides some parking for that facility, and helps in the discussions we've had, or the input we've had from the workshops and just emails and phone calls of we don't want to ride through a parking lot. Option 3 is right-of-way parking, only on the south side of the road. And it has 3 handicap, 3 regular, and then 1 space that is carved up into golf cart parking. On any of these scenarios, we can put bike parking in various places, and we can increase it or decrease it as necessary based on the need for bikes. This one, option 3, introduces a different kind of turnaround. That's the cul-de-sac, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. Option 4 has right-of-way parallel parking on the north and the south side of the road. It has 15 total spaces, 12 regular, 3 handicap. And then we've introduced another component just to the south of the cul-de-sac, just to the east of the restroom, of golf cart parking and bike parking. Through discussions over the last 2 months, there's been a lot of talk that this is a park that is frequented by people in the neighborhood that drive golf carts. So we felt that adding a good bit of golf cart parking would be a good idea. Those are the parking components of it and the different scenarios that we feel could be compatible with this neighborhood in various magnitudes, if you would. The next component is that turnaround feature. And so in the first 2, we have that auxiliary parking that acts as a back in, back out. Not the most ideal, but it does create an area where people can turn around without having to proceed east on Beachfront Trail into those townhome communities and the neighborhood community. That was one of seems to be a consistent issue, is people continuing on down Beachfront Trail and having to turn around in driveways or parking lots. The second turnaround feature is the cul-de-sac feature you see in option 3 and option 4. That is an 80-foot diameter cul-de-sac, and as you can see, it's shown with Beachfront Trail, continuing on through the cul-de-sac, and then the rest of it striped off into what's called a groin area that means no parking. The groin area to the south would be a loading and unloading zone. That's a feature we like to put on any new regional beach access now, because we realize we can't provide parking for everybody, and a lot of people will drive their vehicles or golf carts or bicycles with carts down there, unload, and take whatever vehicle back to an appropriate parking space, be it their rental home, their primary home, or our auxiliary parking lot we have a little bit further up the road. It has connectivity to the boardwalk down to the beach and to the restroom, and it's got bike parking there on the side of it. As you can see, we have it landscaped along the north side and around that cul-de-sac. We can add landscaping where we need to. One other feature of this cul-de-sac is that we can make some demarcation posts where the road continues east to give an insinuation that this is as far as you need to go as a visitor coming to this regional beach access. I wouldn't go as far as to put, no access or whatever, because it is a public road, but it certainly would give an indication there's no good reason to go further unless you live down there. And that would help solve that complaint that we received of people continuing further down to turnaround. The next component is the restroom building. And if you look further back in your package, you'll see a couple of different options. We've labeled them option A, B, and C. Option A is what we call a single fixture per gender bathroom, commonly referred as a unisex. There would be 2 unisex bathrooms. One of the issues that I have, or our department has with that, is you have to provide a locking door on that, and that means someone can lock themselves inside. I'm not saying that we have nefarious behavior going on in our regional beach accesses, but it certainly gives an opportunity for that doesn't exist in the other ones. Option B was option A, elevation. As you can see, we put a modest roof system on this. Our goal is to keep the structure as low as possible so as not to impede any view from across the road from any direction. So it's got about a 12-foot ridge height, and we keep it at an 8-foot plate height. And of course, it has our typical design features of horizontal siding, typically hardy plank or cement board, and then we put louvers in them for ventilation. Option B is 2 fixture per gender, and it's a little bit larger size than the single fixture per gender. It's 20 by 26, and it offers, like I said, a handicap stall, a regular stall, and a sink, and it has a small covered porch. It's another feature we like to include. Gives a little bit of opportunity to get out of the weather if weather crops up. The elevation on it, as you can see, the ridge height is at 12 feet again, plate height at 8 feet, and still a very low profile. The slab height on this would be approximately the same as the road. With the flood elevations we have down there, we can keep the foundation pretty low. Option C, this is a bathroom we used at Pilcher Park. It's 3 fixtures per gender. It's got a little more architectural flair than the other ones do. With that comes an increased footprint, under roof about 38 by 38, but it has large overhangs and sidewalk all the way around it. And then there's a couple of roof options for it. One is just a basic hip roof, as you see in option C1 elevation. It has about an 18-foot ridge height, a little bit taller than the other ones, and 12-foot plate height. We could bring that down a little bit, but then you start minimizing some of the architectural greatness of it if you start bringing the plate height down. Option C2 has a cupola on it. This is exactly like we built at Pilcher Park. It looks great. Has some functionality with the louvers in the cupola, but not really necessary in this application. So 3 components: parking, turnaround, and restroom. And any of these can be put together. In all of these scenarios, we have kept all of the construction, the vertical construction, north of the coastal conservation construction line, which will help us in permitting this project. One thing that goes seaward of that is our boardwalk, and that's of course typical in a beach access construction project. We can also, there's been a lot of talk about degradation or destruction of the dune system. As you can see, we've built this so that we practically minimize or mitigate any damage to that primary dune that tops out at 19 feet above sea level. Now keep in mind the road averages 12 to 14 and a half as you head north out of the neighborhood there. And the smaller dune is about 13 feet. We will get into that dune, but on any of these scenarios, we can do a dune restoration, dune enhancement project, and we can make those dunes really as tall as we'd like, providing FDEP permitting and how it meshes into the land adjacent to us. We certainly can't build up and have it spill over onto it to the east or to the west. It also has connectivity to our auxiliary parking lot that's up the road at the corner by constructing the remainder of that sidewalk that comes around the corner where Beachfront Trail goes parallel to the Gulf. And Public Works has a code project that they're working on right now, and I believe have it ready to bid out, and that is connectivity from the auxiliary parking lot all the way up to 30A with a sidewalk that's 5 feet wide.
I was hoping you'd hit on that. After I talked with Chance, understand, because we started talking about this, like I said, several years ago. One thing I was concerned about is to make sure we had an adequate amount of sidewalks from multi-use paths to go from down here at the beach all the way out to 30A. And after talking with Chance and after seeing his preliminary drawings, we have that connectivity coming all the way down to there. And it's not to say we're going to get all the kids out of the street. The kids are going to be kids. The parents are off somewhere else. Who knows? But the thing is, at least we're tying in that safety measure along with whatever is decided here today on the park layout. So, you got anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
Is it questions from the board?
Yeah. What did you say the parking situation was in option 4?
So the option 4 is what we call right-of-way parallel parking on both sides. 15 spaces, 12 regular, 3 handicap, and then it has 11 golf in that little small area we put adjacent to the restroom. One thing I didn't mention is you notice adjacent to the parking areas in between the roadway is a small strip. It's about 2.5 feet wide. We call that the door saver strip. What that does, it allows that car to be far enough off the road that you can open your door comfortably, and in most cases, depending on what kind of car it is, it keeps it out of the travel lane. You're probably familiar with them at the parking on 30A in Grayton community. We call it the door saver strip. So we have that on both sides of the road. In this scenario, we would use a exfiltration stormwater system, but our engineer has that all figured out. So.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Option 1 doesn't have a turnaround. Is there a possibility to put a turnaround in option 1?
Yes, sir. We can mix and match any of these components together. It would mean that the parking lots shift a little bit to the west, and we may lose a couple off the north side. But as you can see, we have a little bit of opportunity on the south side if we wanted to supplement it back. In that case, like I say, we can stay anywhere between 35 and 40 spaces easily by adding that cul-de-sac into that. The cul-de-sac stays primarily in the road right-of-way, the 66 feet. It does go a little bit to the south, and what we try to do is maximize it to help benefit South Walton Fire District. They would like to have a minimum size turnaround. We couldn't quite accommodate that, but it's certainly better than what they have down there now. And most of their trucks can get around in that.
Mr. Chairman. Brian, in your experience, which is safer, the perpendicular or the parallel parking? Because there's so many children in this neighborhood.
I would say that the right-of-way parallel parking is probably the safest. In the option 4 scenario, it would be conceivable to me and proper enforcement of it that you park in the direction of the traffic. So people that park on the north side of the road would come and turn the cul-de-sac, head back towards the west, and park on that side of the road. Of course, when you have parallel parking, you do have some backing. So if these spaces are 20 feet long, so the spaces are 20 feet long, we can adjust a little bit if we need to make them a little bit bigger. And that helps with being able to pull in without having to do the typical parallel parking. I've lost it. So our engineer has informed me that it does, the 80 feet meets South Walton Fire District's requirements.
And an example for option 4, the natural load and unload area is now on the west side where the yellow square is.
No, ma'am, that's actually our drive-on. This is where we get maintenance vehicles and code enforcement vehicles on and off the beach. And so that would actually have a gate across it now, because we do have some people that
That's what I meant. That's
drive
where I was
it.
going to it. All right.
Yeah.
Leaving there, unloading and unloading, leaving their car there, and then.
No, so with the sidewalk there, we'll have bollards around between the road and the sidewalk. What our intention is to make it so that you can't get partway off the road to that loading and unloading. And by providing a specified loading and unloading area down here, we think that people will use that instead of trying to park right here. Now, people don't always do what you intend them to do, but now, Regional Beach Access will have a beach ambassador down there that helps keep people on the beach, within code and beach etiquette, as well as in the parking lot. So we've used it at Ed Walton and Fort Panic, and it seems to work if you have a person that looks like they're authorized to tell you what to do or not to do. So we have that same scenario down here.
Any other questions? Legal? Oh, there you are. Okay. We've got 2 components of this. Now we got the actual park itself, and then we got the design of the structure for the bathroom. I was thinking we could maybe get a motion concerning Plan A for the parking area, and then have another motion concerning which style that we want to consider.
Don't forget the turnaround.
And the turnaround.
So
Okay.
it's 3, if I'm understanding correctly, the number of parking spots, the
Yeah,
location, turnaround, and the bathroom, right?
I think it could just be as simple as a motion to include option 4 parking with option X, turnaround, and option C, bathroom or B, bathroom.
But that's going to exponentially increase our number of motions.
Yeah,
Okay, everybody can do it.
all right. Let's see. Now, I don't think the motion would require the total number of handicap parking spots, I think.
And so that would be determined by ADJOURN.
Because that was the thing I was concerned about initially, a year or so ago, was to provide the handicap parking for veterans and also others that are getting closer to the beach.
And keep in mind, the direction we're requesting today is approval of a conceptual design and then direction to move forward design development. We would bring back at 30% and 90% design development. So 30% is really the opportunity to say, look, KELLENBERGER, do you do this a little bit different, or that didn't quite fit our intent of our conceptual design approval. Now, I'll tell you that whatever conceptual design y'all approve today, the 30% design will be very close to that. Once again, as we start engineering and understanding how everything fits together, it may mean minus a place here or there, a parking space here or there, or shifting slightly one way or the other.
So there's going to be a multi-use path, for lack of a better term, from the park all the way up to the existing parking lot. So if we needed more handicap for veterans or Purple Hearts or, there's some different special park.
Yes,
we could take some of those parallel spots and designate those as
yes, sir.
so we could actually have 5 or 6 handicap spots if we needed them.
You could. The only requirement is a minimum number. There's no maximum requirement.
All right, board, we have 4 options on the table. Is there an entertain a motion to, it's board's wishes.
I'll make a motion that we authorize TDC to build option 4 with the cul-de-sac and the golf parking as shown and the 3-person bathroom per sex. And it will designate the handicap spots at a later date.
Okay, we pulled the bathroom into your motion. I think we, well, I want to try and keep it clean so everybody out here will understand what we're doing now. So
I'll withdraw the bathroom. How about just option 4 with the cul-de-sac and the golf parking as shown?
I'll second that.
we've got a motion and a second, okay? Hold that. I'll entertain another motion as to what style or size of bathroom. We got 3 options there. There's a couple alternates.
Make the motion that we have the 3 stall bathroom with the roof without, or with the cupola.
That'd be option C, the elevation C.
And it is a handicap bathroom, correct?
Yeah.
It is handicap. All these bathrooms would be handicap, compliant.
Okay.
So your motion is option C with the cupola.
Yes.
Okay. Did you second that, Tony?
I'll second that part for discussion right now.
Okay, we've got a motion second. Let's go ahead and open up discussion. We can wait till public hearing, then you can go from there.
Well,
What's your pleasure?
I would prefer, let's go ahead and get the comments from the audience.
We can do that. All right. Does everybody understand the motions for what's been selected that we'll vote on in a little while? I have 20 people that have signed up to speak on the list. Is anybody that wants to speak that has not signed this form? Okay. You have 3 minutes to come up here. If you have an exhibit or a fire stick or whatever you want to call them things to show up there, then be sure you get it to Lewis, and it'll be inclusive. It'll be 3 minutes. All right, first on the list, bear with me if I can read all this. Linda Olip?
That'd be me.
Have you? Okay, Linda, and for Linda and anyone else coming up, please speak into the mic, identify yourself, and spell your last name for the clerk, so that's for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. My name is Linda Olip, and I live at 373 Lakewood Drive, the dangerous curve. For over 8 years, your predecessors have managed to keep this a neighborhood beach. And I've given you some exhibits, and Exhibit A is a summary of comments and prior meetings that tells you why what you're doing today is, in my opinion, inappropriate and based on fact. With regard to the Walton County public the dunes, they've always been public, and they welcome, and the neighborhood public beaches are there so that you can walk and bike ride. Our beach is 0.6 of a mile off of 30A, which is unlike all the other regional accesses. They are much closer, if not on 30A. You're talking about parking, increasing parking to 3940. I live right on that curve. I watch how fast the cars go. Nobody abides by the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Nobody. Very rarely do you see a car going slow. If a child gets hit, and I'm just stunned that it hasn't happened yet, but if a child gets hit and killed, we're all going to feel pretty bad about it, I hope. The people who come to Seagrove, unlike the communities surrounding us, they come because they like to walk and bike and enjoy the natural beauty that comes from 30A down to the beach. Now, at a presentation on this July 30th of 2014, the TDC recommended that Walton Dunes remain a neighborhood beach access, and they indicated it was important that NBAs are designated to promote walking or biking instead of driving and parking a vehicle. They recommended some amenities like outdoor showers, foot rinse stations, and bike racks. We welcome these minor enhancements, but we are opposed as a neighborhood to the destruction of the dunes and the promotion of additional traffic. We think it's unsafe. My understanding, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that there was a purchase of land across from Cafe 30A. That would be is a perfect, obviously, regional access. I think it's perfect for handicapped parking. You don't have any ramps here down to the beach with an area where handicapped people can sit. I don't know any handicapped people that are able to really navigate the sand. They need a separate place where they can sit, and there's no provision for handicapped people. And their zone, pick up and drop off, that's going to be a joke. Those cars are going to congest that place the same way they do now. Last year we had an emergency vehicle, I'm sure you all noticed, that couldn't get through to save somebody who was drowning. And that's because cars and vehicles are a problem. I've given you Exhibit B, which gives you a history of the area and gives you some interesting information, if not something that you would use. And Exhibit C are pictures. Marina Daniels, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, has been here many times, and she's done the most work here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is there a chance can come up and talk about the multi-use path? Because that seems to be a large concern, that there's so many bicyclists and walkers in the road, and that's dangerous. And
Commissioner, let's wait. I don't want to interrupt the public comment section.
Thanks, Chair.
Chance, we'll call you back up. We'll close out the public comments. Okay, Lisa Boucher.
Lisa Val should be
Oh, I'm sorry.
SH1.
Val.
It doesn't matter. First of all, I want to commend all the efforts that have been made. It's clear that the people who worked on this have listened to the constituents out there that it most affects, and that's a really good thing. That said, this is not my neighborhood. I'm here because I think every access we put in is important, and particularly in terms of things like safety and usability. So the parallel parking, I totally concur on option 4 personally. If you're going to have anything besides just a neighborhood access, That seems to be the safest all around with the parking situation. You don't have the issues of people trying to back out and, you know, blocking the road and the traffic flow. The turnaround is great for changing direction of traffic. The golf cart parking is more than adequate, or at least adequate, which is a good thing. Golf carts are here to stay, whether people agree with them or not. They seem to be the thing. My only real concern is the bathroom option, not because I don't think it's a great idea to have 3 of each gender, but because it does have a much bigger footprint. I mean, the difference between 20 by 26, if I heard right, and 38 by 38 is substantial. And then the profile, you know, the elevation is a difference between 12-ish to 18-ish. So, you know, that's considerably higher. So, you know, that might be a consideration you want to look at, is maybe go to option B if you can't reduce the profile, at least the elevation profile. Now, the 38 by 38, if you have room for it, great. But option C2 looks terrific. I mean, just from a pure aesthetic, you know, it's really pretty, but it is tall. So that would be a consideration I'd look at. Thank you. That's really all my comments.
Thank you. Alice Butella.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all your continued dedication to the beach accesses for all. I'm speaking as a county resident of Seagrove Beach and a former educator of those with special needs. And I'm delighted to support your plan for making this beautiful flat piece of beach accessible to those with mobility problems, young families, wounded vets, and all of the residents that must drive to the beach. I have experienced the need for a flat, easily accessible beach on a number of occasions. My sister, recovering from chemo, much fatigued, needed a quick beach fix, as we say, but not able to handle the steep steps most accesses have, and a need to be close to an easy beach access, a spot for an easy walk to the Gulf for rejuvenation. This beach would meet that need. And I have seen family and friends struggle to get a wheelchair-bound member up the steep zigzags at the often crowded, supposedly handicap-accessible Bramble Grove access. Walton Dunes is a much better alternative. In reviewing the plans, it is disappointing that some of these only have just several handicap spots and not a lot of other parking. Because I'm sure if you're like myself, you have friends that cannot join you at your neighborhood park and beach because there's limited mobility, and they may be just temporarily handicapped, so to speak, but are not really eligible for a handicap spot. So I really appreciate your time, and I approve and support your idea of the motion that is on the table. I think this is a good plan, but I would like to see a little more regular parking, and I'm not really sure about the parallel parking, or I think maybe pull in some areas might be better. But I really appreciate it, and I thank you for your mission, and I appreciate you completing this great plan. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Richard Butella. Richard?
Comment.
Okay. I think you had a stick to give to Lewis, or have you already got it, Lewis? Yes, sir, I've got it. All right. Let him get it queued up there. All right. You got the floor.
Richard Tallis, Cedar Beach. Good afternoon. I agree with both of the previous speakers. I think the motion on the table is a great one. Your commitment to customer use and adding more beach access is much appreciated. You and the TDC have worked hard to make this much needed regional beach access a reality. We thank you. Regional beach access is very important to the ever-increasing majority of county residents who have to drive to the beach and need restrooms and convenient parking. The TDC has carefully engineered an environmentally friendly beach access that will only disturb a small portion of this property. Thank goodness the county owns this property rather than a private owner, which may likely to bulldoze it flat. Exhibit 1, please. These are the larger dunes in the foreground. that are to be preserved, nourished, enhanced, and protected. The restrooms will be on the flatter trampoline area to the background. Exhibit 2. This is a picture of the paths that have been trampled through the dunes by different property owners, primarily. The TDC proposal will protect the dunes from such trampling. Exhibit 3, this is a view north of Beachfront Trail. Notice the sidewalk, which is going to be expanded under your recommendations, which is good, and the center line. This road has been used for decades as a beach access road for service vehicles. Safety will be further enhanced thanks to county insights through additional sidewalks and stop signs. Parallel parking has been used successfully on 30A and in areas with much more traffic than this dead-end road will ever see. So there should be no safety problems with having parallel parking on both sides of the road. Research has shown that street parking acts as a traffic calmer. In summary, all of us who have lived along 30A for the last 20 years have watched the area boom with new condos and bigger houses. The traffic's gotten worse, the beach is more crowded. This has impacted everyone's quality of life. The county's population is increasing, and we all need to adapt and be willing to politely share the roads and the beaches. In conclusion, it's alarming that there are no TDC regional beach access with restrooms and parking in this fast-growing Eastern Lake area. In fact, there's no regional beach access from Eastern Lake to Inland Beach. The county is commended for spending millions paying for legal expenses to defend customary use and buying beachfront for new regional beach accesses. Fortunately, Exhibit 4, fortunately the county already owns this 250 feet of beachfront, which would cost millions of it to buy today. Let's use it to its fullest potential. It is one of the longest beachfronts our county owns. I think it's an important step. Approving this is an important step in continuing your mission of improving beach accesses for everyone. I thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, sir. Scott Stone.
Good afternoon. S-T-O-N-E, just like Sharon.
You don't look like her.
Do you know her? You're the first person who's ever told me that. So I am a property owner in the impacted area, right there on the Beachfront Trail. I'm also a very, very strong supporter of customary use. Been coming to this area since I was about 20. I'm not going to tell you how long that is. I would further age myself. Let's just say it's been a long time. And one of the things that always brought me back here was the fact that these beaches are beautiful and unique. I grew up in Mississippi. Unfortunately, Hurricane Camille pretty much wiped out the parts of our beaches that still look like these, right? So this is a very, very special place. And the dunes that we have are beautiful, and I'm opposed to anything that would negatively impact any of our dunes. I do think that there is a way to find a plan. Unfortunately, none of these that we've seen today are acceptable to me and my family. I certainly applaud your efforts to try to figure out a way to provide access to the beaches, but I do think it's important to remember this is a neighborhood access, not a regional access. It hasn't been designated a regional access. It doesn't have the characteristics of a regional access. It's a neighborhood access. I also think it's important to recognize this isn't a dead-end street. It's a through street that continues on into neighborhoods, at which point it does dead end. But it certainly doesn't dead end at that area that the cul-de-sac is illustrated. There's a lot of people that live back there that have to drive down that street every day to get to their house. So we would encourage you to seek a new option, an acceptable option that doesn't destroy dunes, that doesn't put a bathroom on the beach, that doesn't put a parking lot on the beach. There's a place for a bathroom in the other parking lot that's already there, the auxiliary parking lot, I think we refer to it. There's places for handicap parking there, but putting a bathroom on the beach, is potential for an environmental nightmare. And so is a parking lot that could drain off onto the beach. We would hope for something that retains the existing designation of a neighborhood beach access and something that is consistent with the character of the neighborhood where this piece of county-owned property lies. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Debbie Price.
Hello, Commissioners. Debbie Price, P-R-I-C-E. I'm also a resident on Beachfront Trail and have been going through this for however long it's been going on now. And I also applaud you for trying to make some sort of a recommendation and to help resolve the problem with parking. I also have to agree with Mr. Stone that none of these are the answer. In the last workshop, we were presented with option number 3, and I thought, well, we're finally getting on to something here. And now all of a sudden, at the last minute, we get this option number 4. I'm opposed to option number 4 because of the added parking on the north side of the road, whether it's parallel or going straight in. This is going to be the worst bottleneck that could ever result in this. This cul-de-sac that you're talking about down here has been conveniently, all the homes to the east of it have been kind of shaded out, and it looks like a dead end, but it's not. People still have to drive through there, parking on both sides of the road, once again, driving through a parking lot to get to your home. This cul-de-sac that you're calling it, you can just see people stopping right there to load and to unload. Then the cars behind them can't get around them. Then there's not enough room to make the turnaround. Then they make the turnaround, and someone's coming out of one of those parking spaces. And they say, "Stop, stop! They're coming out! Stop!" So now they're blocking the traffic going this way, waiting for that parking spot while the person's pulling out. It's just a massive bottleneck. It's a mess. It'll be a mess down there. I see the mess down there every single day without this design, and you're just making it even worse. Again, I think if you took option 3, took the restroom out of it, because I agree this needs to stay a neighborhood beach access. This beach is packed every summer with people walking up and biking up to it. And you're trying to drive so much more traffic down this area by calling it a regional beach access. Take the restroom out of there, put the golf cart parking in, try to figure something a little better about the turnaround, put handicap spaces, bicycle parking. I think we could get a deal going here. But it needs to stay a neighborhood beach access. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mike Smith.
Hi, I'm Mike Smith. I'm a resident as well of 207 Beachfront Trail. Smith is Smith. That's not my TH. I just wanted to be on the record to, first off, thank you for your efforts. I know you've been at this a long time. I think the reason that it's taken a long time to try to figure out what to do here is that we keep trying to force fit something that isn't a fit. I really am not supportive of the 4 options. I realize that some other work, and there is a solution there somewhere. I don't like the 4 options that we have in play today. I think we need to keep the neighborhood access as it is today. There was a comment earlier about these trampled paths. The trampled paths actually were the original beach access, and if you look at all the old maps, that was the beach access. So it's not a trampled path, it was actually the access. And frankly, remained open until just recently when it was closed by the county for some reason. So I understand the passion behind CU and also supportive of it. There's nobody in our neighborhood that I've talked to that is trying to do anything to keep anybody from going and accessing the beach that everyone in this room's been able to access their whole life. We're not trying to do anything different. We're just trying to keep it safe. I've witnessed accidents. I've seen service trucks hit golf carts. Luckily, in that situation, nobody was on the golf cart. But you're driving even more traffic to an already congested area. That's a dead end. pontificate all you want about turnarounds and whatnot, but, you know, even the turnaround that was positioned here, show me one example anywhere in the world where you have a drive-through and a turnaround. It's not done. It's not done for a reason, because it's not safe. We don't want anyone to get hurt. This is a beach community. We want to have our tourists come have a good time and everybody leave with all their extremities. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Nikki Smith.
Hello, I'm Nikki Smith, S-M-I-T-H, just like him. I'm also an owner of the same property as my husband. Again, I agree that I object to all the proposals that were presented. I think it's okay for us to find something that works, but it needs to work for the community and the neighborhood that exists along with everybody else. We can work together and we can come up with something that works. This is a neighborhood access. It should stay a neighborhood access. Putting a bathroom on top of a pristine beach like that is just, you know, they write songs about, you know, paving paradise and putting up a parking lot, and that's exactly what we're doing here. And that's just, it's sinful. And to take these dunes, some of the pictures that we're showing, I know the one man who runs a Facebook group that twists the truth about all these things that are going on here. He's showing you a picture of the beach, making it look huge. He's standing on private beach taking that photo to make it look like it's more than it is. I think if you have not gone down there and physically looked at this beach, look at the fact that putting this cul-de-sac, which is not a cul-de-sac closes at the end. It's not a cul-de-sac. It's a through street. That's a two-way street that you're putting a turnaround in. It's going to get someone killed. You put parking on both sides of that street. If you've had children, have you seen what they do? They run between cars. You're going to get somebody killed, and it's going to be on you. And we're going to have to sit there and watch it, and it's going to be sad. There is a solution here. This is not it. None of these proposals are. And as far as the access of the sidewalks down, I think before you even consider voting on doing anything with this, that sidewalk needs to be completed. Not proposed, not planned. It needs to be completed. It needs to be done before you do anything. Thank you.
Let's see, I think it's Tina Barron. Yeah. Okay, Tina.
Mr. Chapman, I have some video. We could do either. But I would like to say thank you. Thank you for all that came down and met me and had some conversation with me. I certainly do appreciate it. This is very dear and near to my heart since I've been fighting this battle for 10 years. And each time I come here, we go through a different set of commissioners, so it almost seems like the TDC continues to bring this up every time we get new board members. So for those of you who are leaving us next year, I can't wait because this will be back around the corner. Okay, just wanted to show some video. This is where we really do care about nature in our neighborhood. Those are two bald eagles. And then the second picture of the children playing is actually where the lake has opened up, where Deer Lake has opened up, which leads, and it rolls all the way over onto that portion of the beach. This is high tide, where they're saying that, you know, we have all this beach right here. No, when the tide is high, you can see it almost comes all the way up to where the restaurant facility would be. The next is an example of where people are parking on the side of the road in these golf carts, and on the same day the photograph was taken of the parking lot. The same exact day, same exact time. This is where you have people violating going into the emergency vehicle lane. They just go down on the beach and they drop off their kids and whatever else. Here's a large truck trying to get through, and this happens quite often on that road. Here is an emergency where we've lost a swimmer last Sunday, and we're trying, and I have a video of this, but we're trying to get help down in there. We can't even get help, can't even get the sea-doos down in there to take care of the people that are drowning because they can't get into the access. That's why there needs to be no through traffic down there at all. That's why the loading and unloading needs to be at that three-way stop where the current parking lot already is. The only people that need to be accessing that area are the people who live there. There's ambulances trying to get through. This is even actually on another day even. This is how the majority of the people access the beach is through walking. If you look at the top photograph, that's not even a big holiday. I was actually taking a picture of the water and just happened to have it in my phone, but you can see how busy the access already is. There's more groups walking. This is just a constant of what happens on beachfront trail all the time. Do you see the cars already going through there? Well, once you put us on a regional beach access map, do you know how many more people you're going to be pushing into that already dangerous neighborhood? There needs to be no traffic down in there. This is the road where they're talking about the parking going on the left and the right-hand side of the road. I don't call that much of a road myself. The property to the left of there, portions of that property is privately owned. And I do have a couple of videos I wish I could show. Anyway, I wish you guys would really, really think about leaving this a neighborhood beach access and allowing us the opportunity to work to make the neighborhood beach access better with some improvements, but we need a sidewalk first before any decisions are made. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next crossing mechanism, yes, Annette.
I'm Annette Crosby, C-R-O-S-B-Y. I'd like to talk about the dunes and restoration. Your seal has pride, preservation, and conservation. So, and you have signs such as dune restoration and progress on the beach. That sign has been there for 20 years. And dune rebuilding, keep off the dunes and the grass. And this is actually right where the bathroom would be, the sign. It's been up there, it's kind of folded down. But it says area closed. This is a protected, environmentally sensitive area. Disturbance by humans or pets is prohibited. So we need to protect the environment and our sea turtles and snowy plovers. Several years ago, Hurricane Dennis, I took a photo of after the storm came, it washed every single dune away. And you can see now this is 2019, how they have rebuilt. This one right here is when Dennis hit. They actually use this for staging area for all the debris, because I don't believe there's any low-lying area that can be used for this from Graton Beach to Inlet Beach. And you can see it's completely devastated, and we have taken it back in nature, and it is rebuilt even better than it used to be. And also the safety, I think you know, there was an ambulance and a fire truck, they couldn't even get to the people that needed help one day. The road is so little, and where the parking spaces are going to be built, you would be destroying the sand dunes. And the Florida Environmental Protection Agency, it says, I lost my paper there. Anyway, it says that you really should not destroy that because the natural vegetation on the site is on existing dunes, and it's necessary. Don't flatten out the dunes to build on the site. The natural inhabitants of the sea turtle and nesting exist on that that site is going to be flattened, and lowering the site elevation below the level of the elevation of nearby properties will expose all nearby property owners to storm surge and wave actions. And cutting down the dunes and paving them cannot, by anyone's standards, be considered protection or enhancement of their valuable resource. And I agree, we need to come up with another plan. I believe that maybe the neighborhood people could work with the planners and work something out that would not destroy the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Minshew.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Lisa Minshew. I'm an attorney. I represent the Beachfront Townhome Owners Association, and this is a property that is immediately adjacent to the proposal to the north. It also includes the fee simple ownership of a portion that you are considering improving, and I think that will become important as we talk about this in the future. The Beachfront Townhome Owners Association is opposed to these options that are included in the July 25th, 2019 proposal. Does not mean they are opposed to any proposal. They have talked to me about a lot of things that they would like to see done there. But the ones that you have before you are objectionable for very good reasons, of which you've heard many already. Number one, this is a neighborhood access point. And for you to designate it as regional on all your paperwork at this point is objectionable. The property that you own there, the street there, the different ownership rights among other owners around this property do not find that this is suitable to becoming regional access. It's just not. You have other properties that are suitable for regional access. This is not. By making it a regional access, you have now promoted more people to come with vehicles from outside the area, which is not going to be good for this neighborhood. It's not going to be good for the county. Because this is a neighborhood, they are opposed to this designation. The beachfront is the fee simple owner, as I said, of a large piece of property there. Part of what's on your plan uses a portion of the 33-foot area. Commissioner Chapman may know, and some of the others may have not heard this in detail, but I have discussed this with the county many times. There are rights that that fee simple owner still has over that area, in my opinion. So anything that you propose to put north of that pavement is going to be objectionable to the beachfront. And so we would request that you not present or adopt any proposal that's going to include construction north of the pavement, because I've been directed to fight it administratively, through appeals, through litigation. Just putting you on notice so you know. Anything north of the pavement is going to be a problem. As an adjacent owner, beachfront will also exercise all of its administrative and common law and statutory rights to prevent Walton County from violating any of the state and federal rules concerning dune protection, endangered species. The turnaround particularly is troublesome. I think that when you read the Bureau of Land Management rules and the DEP rules about the land that you own, it shows that that's going to be problematic. You're creating an intersection where people will turn, stop, and then cross.
Thank you, Mr. Walton.
Thank you very much.
Mark Ledden.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Mark Ledden. I'm here today as a homeowner at Heron's Watch Condominium Association, and I'm a representative today on behalf of our HOA board. I'm here to express strong support for the TDC's Option 1 plan, the original plan for the Walton Dunes Beach access. Our development, located just north of 30A adjacent to Eastern Lake, has 80 units with extremely limited opportunities for beach access parking, which greatly reduces the value of living in a beach community for our development and for our area and for Walton County as a whole. Our area needs regional beach access comparable to other RBAs throughout the county. The TDC's Option 1 plan with 39 parking spaces will provide the county with the best use and benefit of the county's valuable beachfront property and provide much-needed beach access and parking in this region. I emphasize parking because the 39 parking spaces will provide the greatest value and benefit for the most people to be achieved by this RBA, a place for more people to be able to go to a public beach. Option 1 represents responsible planning and development consistent with other RBAs. A small group of neighborhood residents oppose this project and have pressured the county to drastically reduce the planned parking and restroom facilities. This would result in a significant loss in benefits to the county for this project and for the cost of an effort to construct this project. Perpendicular parking would actually greatly improve vehicular access into and out of the RBA, with minimal impacts to an extremely low rate of traffic along beachfront trail. You can look at the video cam online, and you know, if you see 10 cars on that road per hour, that seems to be high. The option 3 and 4, I've done it, and I've been out there many times, and you don't see the traffic. The option 3 and 4 plans would turn around and necessarily add costs and complications to the project, but we would agree with that option if you want to add that to option 1, but please don't sacrifice parking in order to put a plan in place with the turnaround. So in this time of continued efforts to control and restrict the public's use of our beaches, we urge you to please move forward today without further delay. We don't need to look at more plans. You did a great job looking at alternative plans. We ask you to move forward. This is greatly needed. Approve option 1 and provide our area with greatly needed regional beach access comparable to other areas in our county. Thank you for your time.
Tim Calvis? Tim Calvis. Did I pronounce that right or butcher it? Close.
Hi, my name is Tim Calvis. It's spelled K-A-L-V-A-S. I won't take my full 3 minutes, but I do want to make one very critical point. It appears to me and everybody in this room that you've been at this for many, many years, 10, 15 plus years. There isn't a sidewalk that gets folks on bikes or on foot to the beach. And it seems very prudent to finish that and study those flows first before we build a whole bunch of other things that's only going to increase traffic. I think if you look at all 4 options, it's safe to say even the most minimal is going to increase a ton of vehicular traffic to that dead-end street area. And without understanding the flow of foot traffic and bicycle traffic, with having a completed sidewalk, why didn't that get done in the last 10 years? Like, let's do that first, and let's understand how that can then benefit people out of the street before we put more and more cars in the street. Thank you.
Thank you. David, are you still here?
Stepped out.
David's out? Missed out, didn't he? Carolyn Groney? I butchered that too, didn't I? Yeah, I thought so. All right.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Carolyn Grawi, Grawi, and with the Center for Independent Living Disability Resource Center, we provide services on behalf of people with disabilities from Escambia, the other side of Escambia, all the way to the other side of Walton County here. We want to make sure that everything that we do is accessible and that we look at it prudently before we make decisions in doing so. When we look at adding sidewalks, we need to make sure that they're wide enough, they're kept clear, that there's access points. I don't know if Jim Harmon is here today or not, but has the ADA coordinator gone through and looked at the plan for that sidewalk to make sure that that access is appropriate? And with all the other pieces that we're looking at for parking as an example, we need to make sure that if you do put parking in, that it's following the state guidelines for access, and that there's enough space to be moving past. So if you put a 5-foot sidewalk in and you have a 10-foot parking space or 11-foot parking space, that's not enough space to put out a lift. So then somebody can't get out of their car in that space anyway. So you need to have that wider here in Florida. 17 feet is how many feet you need wide to have access around it. If you're going to do parallel parking, you also need to potentially have space for access aisles behind the cars for folks who have rear entry in and out of their vehicle. Another piece that is a concern is the mitigation of water. I am not an engineer. I don't have any say in that at all, but to make sure that whatever you do put in, that water is not going to become the barrier. At Grady Park, right after I left your last commissioners meeting is where I just was, I have pictures of water just standing. That's not how we get more access when we go places. So we need to make sure that water isn't standing where the access routes are. And then the other piece is related to looking at this accessible restrooms, whether you put them where you're discussing putting them now, or you put them down by the parking lot, wherever they end up, to make sure that the accessible stalls have the stall door come out of the bathroom. Don't put them going into the bathroom. There's room to put that hinge on there properly so it can come out, and that people can have more use of that space. That we talk about these things before we go and put them in place, that we review the plans, that we make sure that people are involved in the process. Again, just like at the last meeting, bringing forward your ADA Awareness Committee so that your residents, your professionals, and people who have interest in this can be involved at the outset and not afterwards. It's much less costly and much more effective to be planning appropriately. And right now, there's not policy set by you to to make sure that that happens ahead of time. We need to make sure that that happens going forward. We want to see everybody be able to use the beaches. And what that means sometimes is we do have to give some of our rights away when we make it accessible to everybody. But at the same time, if we don't have access to get there, then that means as we all age together, we will all have disabilities at some point in time. Whether it's now or in the future, we want everyone to be able to use that beach and every beach that we have in our community.
Thank you, ma'am. Troy Barton.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Troy Barton, B-A-R-T-O-N. I'm the president of the Greenway Park Homeowners Association. We're located right near Eastern Lake, and this would be one of the primary accesses that our neighborhood and the renters in our neighborhood would take advantage of. I think, quite simply, we think we own a great piece of land as a county, and we really should exploit that as opposed to buying additional land for millions of dollars. We have a great piece of land, and I think a great design that Brian has come up with. So we would commend you guys on the recommendation made here. We'd love to see more parking because everybody can't get to the beach on their feet or on a bicycle, unfortunately. But we think it's a great first start, and we look forward to the other beach accesses that are being developed in the Seagrove eastern area, where we really do not have any beach accesses that you can get to without driving a mile and a half to get to those locations. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Beverly, tens. You'll correct me when you get up here, please.
My name is Beverly Oxen, O-T-T-Z-E-N. Hello, it's nice to see all of you again, and thank you for allowing us to speak. We've been going through this for years, and I think we need to keep going through it for years more if that's what it takes to get it right. And I agree with all my neighbors that these options, they're just not the right fit for this spot. I sent y'all an email yesterday. I hope you've had time to look at it. There are two main reasons that I have been telling for years this is not a good place for regional beach access. Number one, it's at the end and not even at the end. You have to go so far from 38 to get to it. That's totally different from all the regional accesses. And also, if you look at the regional accesses, they're built behind the dunes. This one is the dunes. And I live there. We live at 415 Beachfront Trail. We are full-time residents. We built our house here 26 years ago with the idea of retiring here, which we have done. We're full-time residents. We're committed. We live on Beachfront Trail east of this access, along with 45 other home sites. So when you're talking about putting a turnaround right there on Beachfront Trail and calling it a cul-de-sac, that's what it'll be. It'll be a cul-de-sac. And there won't be any way for us or an ambulance or the garbage truck or anybody else to get to our house because of the traffic. It's bad enough already. Please don't make it worse. I think that's what you're hearing over and over again from those of us who live here. Now, the ones who don't live here, who are looking at outdated pictures, who have not visited in a long time, we all laugh when the guys said there are 10 cars. Well, maybe a couple of weeks ago, in certain times of the day, that would have been true. Because we're not saying we get this traffic year-round. We all know when we get the traffic. It's in the summertime, and we're heading right into spring break. That's when it's really, really bad, and we don't want to have an emergency and have the ambulance not be able to get to us because they're clogged up with the traffic, some of which you've created by drawing more vehicular traffic there than is already there. And when you talk about the neighborhood, we're talking about hundreds of homes all the way from 30A to the beach. If you look at an aerial photo, you can see they've put homes all back in the woods there. There are lots and lots and lots of homes there, and a lot of them rentals, of course. The people are all going to this access. That's the neighborhood you're talking about. We're not talking about some exclusive little 10-home neighborhood or something like that. We're talking about hundreds of homes full of people. They're using it already. We have no objection to everybody in the world coming to that beach access if they can squeeze themselves onto the beach. But they're already piled up out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't do anything today, please.
Michael Lynch. Michael Lynch. He left too? Okay. That concluded my sign-up list. Is there anyone else want to make a public comment? Come forward, and we'll take the lady first and then you, sir. Okay, you can stand in the queue, ma'am. I just need your name. Well, yes, I missed it.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Nostrand. I've been a property owner at Walton Dunes since 2000 and a full-time resident since 12. I'm also the president of the Walton Dunes Townhouse Association. I've come before you on several occasions over the past 8 years on this issue and made clear my concerns about the safety in the neighborhood that I drive through every day, as well as the storm protection our dune structures provide. I've also written to all of you and met with Brian and some of you on site to discuss the optimization options of this beach. We all know the history. So today I'm here to express my hope that the decision that you make regarding Walton Dunes beach access is based not on the need for more parking along 30A, especially when we all know that there's an existing underutilized parking at the end of the street that Brian refers to as the auxiliary lot. Rather, that it is about what we did agree to at last spring's workshop, the need for a minimal footprint structure to accommodate handicapped beachgoers at the beach and provide bathroom facilities for the public while improving the overall safety of the neighborhood, pedestrians, bikes, and cars. I'm thrilled to know and commend you for the sidewalk progress already made and the plans that are in place. I am not a fan in any way that putting bathrooms on the beach is the right thing. I think it should be put at what's being referred to as the auxiliary parking lot. And that said, going back to the motion from last spring, it doesn't seem to require more than 2 bathroom stalls in the absolute or 3 parallel spots for handicap licensed vehicles to park. I'm sure there are many things that you regret about what commissioners before you have done. As in this case, it's most regrettable that what was to be a continuous street throughout a neighborhood years ago should have ever been allowed to have been made into a dead end with no turnaround except the driveways of the homes that are there due to the previous commissioners' approvals of easements and developments. But that is in fact our reality today. If you were designing this from scratch, I don't believe any of you would ever even think of putting anything that Brian's proposals include along the way to a dead-end street. Be that as it may, this request that you make a decision today that you will not regret. It will not lead to an injury or possible death due to the appeal or safety issues, both increased traffic throughout the neighborhood, calling it an RVA, lining both sides of the street with parking on a congested street that residents like myself travel through each day, or proposing a turnaround in the middle of that through the street. That will not lead to an ongoing drainage issue into Walton Dunes parking lot due to the leveling of an adjacent dune, already an issue that we will only see worsened if it's leveled for parking spots. That will not lead to significantly less storm protection for the structures nearby should another Michael come ashore, actually undoing the improvements made by the county in just the past 2 years, with the addition of sand fencing and the vegetation. Brian's pictures are outdated, and the path that Richard suggested is there is no longer passable due to the improvements. So that that will not require a turnaround, and if you are set on a turnaround in the street, it would allow for reconfiguration of the Walton Dunes parking lot to not be a fallout. Thank you for your consideration and optimizing the neighborhood beach access.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Rob Hyatt, H-Y-A-T-T, and I'm a resident of the neighborhood. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to sort of focus on one item. There's a very significant safety issue currently on the streets. The sidewalks that are there are inadequate. They're skinny. It's almost impossible to walk a dog or to walk side by side with somebody and not have a truck come by on its way in or out, construction or code enforcement or whomever, and have some risk. And then the corner that's a little farther north on Lakewood, literally you have to jump out of the road into one of the driveways. If you're running, you're walking a dog, you're on a bike. It happens in January. I'd hate to see it in July. We're full-time residents except for the summertime. And in the summertime, you saw the pictures.
infinitely worse. So that corner, that sort of corner to the north on Lakewood is a very, very significant issue. And it really does need to be fixed before you start entertaining putting any more folks on the road. The corners are very tight down at Beachfront Trail as well. So there's literally only one car can go through there at a time. So adding more traffic is significant. The other point I wanted to make is that's now a very nice dune that exists. It's sort of naturally been built up over the years. I'm kind of surprised at the pictures that are reflected. You know, the county and us as taxpayers paid some money for the studies that have been done. The pictures that are shown in reference are really not relevant to what the dunes look like now. And so that dune is pretty. Other than the state parks, we don't have very many dunes left. And so taking the dune out would be unfortunate if we put lots of structures up there. The other thing I think I would say is promoting bikes in the plans. It looks like there were bike racks sort of off to the side. We have a nice bike rack there. It sort of looked like it wasn't in the plans. I would say everything we can do to enhance access for people on foot and on bikes, including all the safety stuff I was worried about, would be great. I'd say put as much bike rack parking as you can. Again, you saw pictures of the chaos that is there when all the cars come in. So the folks from neighborhoods to the north with e-bikes and some of that technology might be able to get down there more easily, etc. So I think that's it. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, come on, sir.
Apologies, I got in a little late to sign in. I'm Shane Killen, K-I-L-L-E-N. I am a resident of that neighborhood, and I agree with all the residents there and that have come up and spoke with all the things that they've said. But there's one thing in particular, I won't go over and say the same things, but I do want to mention one safety thing that I think might be important. In a proposed turnaround there, you have to remember that there are residents just further than that turnaround. And when people come in and they're turning around, and if one of those residents come, you're talking about a potential T-bone incident there as people are turning around. I mean, we all know how drivers are, right? They don't always pay attention. They're turning around. They're not going to look over their shoulder to necessarily see if another resident that lives on down is coming or not. So you're potentially creating a T-bone situation there that is going to be potentially a safety issue there. Whether it be on a golf cart, and goodness, that would be potentially fatal to somebody on a golf cart if a car coming through to their home hit a golf cart. I mean, that could be a pretty serious issue there. But you just have to remember that a turnaround there is potentially creating this issue for the residents who live a little bit further on down. Not only their safety, but also the safety of those people trying to turn around. That's really all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Last call. Last call. Come on.
My name is Lynette Peterson. And I didn't have anything prepared, but one thing that I did want to say to you all is that yesterday or Sunday, my husband and I went all the way down to Topsail State Park. And as we moved our way back down 30-way, we went to all the regional beach accesses, all of which are right on 38 or within maybe 100 yards from 38. And then we get back to this one at Walton Dunes that is a neighborhood beach access that has been designated that for decades. And making it a regional beach access will just change the name. It's still a neighborhood beach access, and you have to go through a full half a mile to get there of neighborhoods. And I encourage you to do that if you haven't already done it, and check out how different this is from all the other regional beach accesses that are already there. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, that's the last public comment, so I'll close the public comment section. Commissioner Nipper, I think you had a question for Sam.
Chance, could you please come up and talk about the multi-use path and the timing? And is there provisions to have that path completed before there's any movement, if there is movement forward?
Yes, ma'am. The plans for the multi-use, or I guess I should say pedestrian facility, because not in all places is it 8 to 10 feet wide. But a pedestrian facility will be provided on Lakewood Drive. The plans are complete. We have plans to start construction on that before the end of this year. So I believe that would be complete before any improvement was made here through these plans that are being proposed.
And this is going to connect from 30A all the way down to...
Pedestrian facility will be connected from 30A all the way down. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions for your staff?
I got one for Cliff.
Identify yourself to the clerk.
Cliff Nauer, Knauer, with Dewberry Engineering.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Afternoon.
Cliff, you heard several comments about this fear of the safety issue with the turnaround. Would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, so it's really a cul-de-sac, mid-block cul-de-sac really is what it's set up for. We expect that a lot of people will probably drop off folks in the gore area. Brian called it a groin area, but it's actually a gore area. It's a little different, but
How different? I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah, we do expect people to drop people off there. We also have talked about making sure it was a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit on that whole section of roadway to keep the speed down as much as possible. But we feel like it's a very safe setup. And with regard to some of the questions about stormwater, we went through probably 2 years of hearings and public meetings when I did Scenic Gulf Drive. And Scenic Gulf Drive was just like this. It was pandemonium. People parking everywhere, cars, people, bikes, golf carts, just craziness. And we put in parallel parking on Scenic Gulf Drive, and it has completely reorganized that whole section of beach. Our stormwater would be done the same way. That's all exfiltration. We've got valley gutter with inlets, and the groundwater table is very deep in this area, and so stormwater is not going to be a problem at all. So we've worked hard to try to satisfy all the different needs and try to come up with options that address all the different issues. And so, be happy to answer any other questions, sir. Go ahead.
Cliff, this is a unique area. Is there any ability to put the bathroom up at that auxiliary parking area? I know it's a distance. I just thought how far I used to walk as a kid. But is there consideration, is there an ability to put the bathrooms up in that for the safety, to minimize the impact down there? Or has it been considered?
Well, one of the short answer is yes, the bathroom could be put up there. But one of the things that was interesting that came out in one of the other hearings that I was present for was that there's something on the order of 1,700 units that funnel people to this area. 1,700 units just in this area is the number that's been brought up at several of the community meetings. And so, the people that are going down there now, if they don't have a house that's fairly close, they're probably
using the Gulf
of Mexico. Hard to do. And so, at some, to some degree, you want to kind of make it convenient for somebody to be able to have access to it. I know at Grayton, everybody used to hike to the Red Bar if they had to go to the bathroom, and that's a pretty good distance to the Red Bar, but that's the only bathroom that was available, and so that's what a lot of people did. And so, I would just encourage you to make it as convenient as possible. It would be a pile supported structure, so it would be on pilings. If it were located on any of the site plans that we have shown here. But the short answer to your question is yes, you could put a restroom up there.
And I would not agree with putting it up there because of that one reason. From the distance from the park to there, people are not gonna go there. Now, Danny can probably agree with me, when I patrolled that beach back in the 80s and 90s, they didn't go up the hill, they went right there in the dunes, along with some other nefarious activities I said. But I just don't think it's not convenient enough, so they're gonna use the dunes, which we don't want to happen anyway. So, anyway, any other questions for Cliff? Seeing none?
I just want to make a comment, but not for Cliff.
All right. That's good news. Thank you.
I'm through with you, Cliff. One thing that was mentioned in a lot of the comments was this idea of a regional beach access. There was nothing in the motion about changing the designation of this beach access. That would have to be another board action, I would assume. But we're not talking about changing whether it's neighborhood or beach.
Well, and I do want to clarify that point, just because I think some people have the impression that that's like a planning process or a zoning change, which is not. Regional beach access and neighborhood beach accesses are simply designations that the TDC uses, to internally market different areas. It doesn't impact the zoning or the use of the property.
They could just leave it off the map of all the regionals and not even identify it as a regional access.
That's what we're not changing anything like that. That's a marketing determination of TDC.
So really, it's just a designation of, I'm sorry, JT's the TDC director. Really, it's just a designation of amenities that go along with the beach access. So in this case, it would be restrooms, and they would add lifeguard services to that access. So that is really the distinction that makes it into a regional beach access. So, I mean, we can call it whatever we want. We can come up with another distinction and call it a regional light, or we can come up with another term. So if everyone's kind of afraid of that term, we can call it something else.
But I do think but you could put lifeguards as neighborhood access if you chose.
How about neighborhood?
No, sir.
So, I mean, that doesn't have any legal bearing.
No, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor, having a second, and the motion is to approve option 4 with the cul-de-sac, and then option 3, the bathroom, which is the 3-stall per side.
Mr. Chairman, could we vote on these things separately?
We can do that.
I would like to also.
It was actually 2 motions.
Yeah.
And I think we need to discuss the second motion.
Okay. Well, then, legal, should we clean it up and we can do it that way without any issue?
Yes, sir. I believe, as Commissioner Anderson said, they were 2 separate motions. We can consider the first one, which was a motion to approve option 4.
That's the first one, the motion to approve option 4 with the cul-de-sac. We have a motion and a second on that. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next motion was bathrooms, which I think was option 3.
If you would be more comfortable with 2, I don't have any problem in the motion to go to 2.
I would like to bring Brian and Cliff up for just a couple of questions before I make my mind up.
All right, Brian. Who do you want first?
Brian will be fine.
Brian.
Brian, I do have some anxiety over the size of that bathroom. In your opinion, I know you're not an engineer, but you're a former builder, would the smaller option work?
Option 3 versus 2?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's 2 fixtures per gender. I think it would be adequate for that beach access.
Okay.
Some people may have to wait in line, but
but option 3 is quite a bit bigger. I mean, it's
option 3 is a bigger footprint and it has a taller roof height than option 2.
Yeah.
Option 2 is a very minimal bathroom. It does fit our architectural style to a certain extent. We have cupolas on a lot of restroom buildings. They serve as exhaust fans.
Okay.
But we have other ways of exhausting air. The bathrooms, we don't cool. We do provide space heaters in them to knock the chill off during the winter, but the way to keep them somewhat comfortable is good ventilation with fans and levers.
Okay. Cliff, I'm sorry, does anybody else need something? Cliff, as an engineer on this project, would you be in approval of using option 2 as opposed to option 3? Would that satisfy the need from an engineering standpoint?
I think we've got them, options A, B, and C is what we've got up
Okay.
here on. So you're referring to option B, I think.
Yeah, the
Option
second
B.
one that y'all showed.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's 2 stalls, obviously, per
Is that all handicap accessible?
Yes, sir. Not all the stalls are handicap accessible. There's only 1 handicap accessible stall in the men's and 1 handicap accessible stall in the women's.
Okay. All right.
But that would be,
That's
certainly a smaller footprint.
Okay.
If you want to go to 2, I don't have any problem changing the motion.
B?
B, if you want to go to B, I don't have any problem changing the motion.
Okay.
So I withdraw the first motion and change it to option B, or I'll amend the motion to option B.
Then I'll end my second. That's a smaller
Yes,
footprint,
second.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner, do you have anything you want to add?
Just verifying that B does not have a cupola.
No.
It's the lowest hip roof.
Does not have it.
Okay.
All right, we got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that concludes this special meeting agenda. We stand adjourned.
Can I kiss you?